Hello, let's do a Mndy Reads for late in the day on Monday, the last day of my weekend. Let's just chat about what I've been reading, what I'm planning to be reading in the future. I've been continuing on with Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. I've been reading that out loud, to myself. I'm on, what am I on? I've done the first 5 chapters, so I'm like doing a chapter a day, and I find kind of reading it out loud is a good way of slowing down. It's a 1726 book written by Jonathan Swift. He was born 1667, died 1745, an Anglo-Irish writer, born in Ireland, an English father, had always hoped to get advancement in England. He really didn't want to be in Ireland, at least for a good hunk of his life. He was always aspiring to that. But due to actually one of his other books, Tale of the Tub, he was basically person non grata to the uppers there, and then basically he also just kind of fell out politically. He started out his life, he started out his life a Tory and then ended up a Whig, or the other way around. I can't remember at this point. That's one of the things that as I'm going through this book, I'm trying to kind of backfill all my knowledge. Even though I read a really good biography of Swift by Leo Damarash a year or so ago, but a lot of that has gone out of my head. I actually listened to him talk about Swift in a talk, which I might put down below, probably not. But you can find it on the internet, of him talking about much more about kind of Swift's personal life, a couple of his kind of serious romances, but also just sort of the serious kind of intricacies, kind of secrecies in this guy's life, but also that he just wasn't kind of a misogynist, not misogynist. He wasn't a complete misanthrope, angry, bitter dude. It's like, no, actually he had a good sense of humor, and you can tell that in the first 5 chapters here, where, you know, it's probably the pretty famous tale. It's a famous tale of Gulliver washing up on the shores. The first one of Lilliput, where all these people are, I think it's 1/12 or 1/6 the size of Lemuel Gulliver, and who is actually participating in the slave trade. Just as a little side note, we should be putting in there, that's how he was making his money. And just, you know, the observations, it's like the Lilliputans, there's a great schism. This is where the great schism of the big Endians and the little Endians comes in, where it's like, which end should you break your egg under? And there have been great wars fought over this. Kings have lost their head or been deposed, quite mirroring what has actually happened in England, where, you know, Charles I has lost his head, and James II has been deposed. So there is you know, it's Swift in a fantasy tale, just a silly fantasy tale, making some rather pointed things about these schisms that happen, which are, from an outsider's point of view, are quite ridiculous in how much kind of little things. And when they go back to the original book, apparently you're just supposed to be able to break the end at which is convenient to you. Which sounds a lot like a lot of the schisms of Christianity. You know, there's a lot of all these things. It's very shocking in a very body kind of way, body and bodily kind of way. The giganticness of how gigantic Gulliver is, and how that, you know, magnifies his appetites, but also magnifies the fact that he is this towering, gigantic figure, and that he has to relieve himself, you know, bodily functions, and that's kind of like so disgusting. Culminating in, there is a great fire, and there's no way to put it out, except luckily Gulliver had been having a lot to drink the night beforehand, and you can imagine what happens. And the Empress is basically an enemy for life after that. The Empress, the Lilliputans, is an enemy for life after that, which is so hilarious. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that. Um, I have almost, see that's the last little bit finished of the HMS Surprise #3 in the Aubrey and Maturin series, kind of Napoleonic War. Captain Jack Aubrey and Doctor Maturin, who is a bit of a he's a bit of a spy in the beginning of this. He indeed gets exposed as spy and kind of open counsel by some butthead, and that does not go well for him. I talked about last time. There's sort of the thing of there's the two opposing women in this book. One, Sophia, who is engaged to Jack, and it's like, oh, she is sort of the good one, and then we have Diana Villers, who is very much seems to be the fallen woman that both Jack and Maturin have had things with. That comes to the head for Maturin, getting there at the end of the thing. But it's also, the main thing you're coming to a book like this for. It's all the seamanship. I talked about this being like a great science fictional world to me as someone who is a complete landlubber of just all the terminology. But Patrick O'Brian is able to kind of keep you going along with this. It is like the movie Master and Commander, which is based on the first couple of books in this series. It is kind of old-fashioned in the sense that things have basically been building throughout the entire book. Of you hear about this Frenchman. We watch Jack kind of getting this new ship into shape, both the people on the ship and the ship itself, and building and building and building until we get to the very end of this novel where, wow, he really delivers a great engagement, and fearsome, frightening, horrific engagement that really kind of pays off. The book really pays off for for someone who is like myself, probably, who is kind of more patient for that kind of extremely slow build and that extreme kind of deep submersion in the thing. I actually watched a couple of videos about kind of naval warfare and things like that, like Splinters. Oh my God. It's not the explosive, it's not the cannonballs that are going to get you. It's going to be all the freaking wood splinters flying everywhere, getting you getting infected and dying. Infection, that's the big thing. No penicillin in these books. And just, such a tiny ship of being, I think it's 30 yards long, 200 men all crammed into this space. Really, 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 really well done. Really, really have enjoyed reading that. I finished my audiobook Feel Free, a collection of essays by Zadie Smith, published in 2018, split into kind of 5 sections: in the world, in the audience, in the gallery, on the bookshelf, and a 5th section, Feel Free, where you get you get stuff like the kind of the demolition of her of a kind of a childhood kind of neighborhood library, which kind of really kind of for me pulls into themes of the library book by Susan Orlean, which I read earlier, of this sort of this kind of advancing war against not only just literacy, but of kind of a civic space for people to have in the world, and something that might actually kind of be a force for true kind of equality and equity of opportunity. A lot of stuff like that is really getting reflected in that. In the audience, we get like a kind of profile of Jay-Z, which she's really good at kind of bringing me into, because I know nothing about rap, hip hop, that kind of thing. So she kind of brings me into that. She also kind of gets into Joni Mitchell as something that was outside of her experience, which is something as a Canadian. All Canadians have a copy of Blue somewhere in their house that they've somehow I think we get handed to them as we're born or something. So the great Canadian chanteuse Joni Mitchell. Interesting profiles on Key and Peele, and kind of and also kind of circling back Key and Peele when they were kind of more in their comedy, just the comedy phrase, and also Get Out, with yes, we'll just say Get Out. There's a lot in the gallery. Is a lot about paintings, which was really interesting. It was really interesting. Definitely more outside of my scope of things. She's definitely someone who follows more of the idea of like, this is something that shouldn't be closed to the public. This shouldn't be like, oh, you don't know anything about this, you should just look away. It's like, no, everybody can actually have their own visceral reaction to this, and you can get like educated on it, but you can also just sort of have a reaction to stuff. On the bookshelf, she does a really interesting talk about The Buddha of Suburbia by Hanif Qureshi, and how influential of a book that was, that she sort of got to see in some ways herself, or ideas or differences of self in this book, kind of a groundbreaking English book, but an English book of not the white Englishmen, but of actually people from other well, immigrant, or just not the Pure Lane, to put. I won't even go there. But that kind of idea of like, wow, I got that. That was an opportunity to see yourself, see queer as well as not just like of people of color and stuff like that. Interesting stuff on Jeff Dyer. And then Feel Free, where she talks about joy, and an experience of taking ecstasy being one experience, where she's like, she took ecstasy when I think she was in her 20s or something like that in a nightclub, and like she experienced joy, but was that joy? And kind of questioning that, but describing it, and really bringing you into that experience and into that world in a kind of interesting way. She did a really interesting one, which was with Justin Bieber, Canadian content here, of being a love object, mixed with talking about Martin Buber, who was an Austrian Jewish Israeli philosopher, who is famous for kind of the I thou, or the I it relationship. The idea of like, we don't have actually that many I thou relationships, where we're actually kind of getting to know a person, actually knowing a person, versus they're simply objects passing through a world. The thou that takes up our entire horizon is a very rare relationship, and contrasting that with like someone like poor in this case Justin Bieber, having to do meet and greets, where he's constantly meeting all these people who are like narrating, I can't believe I'm meeting Justin Bieber right now, where it's very much, you can tell that it's like he is an object of affection, but and how kind of dispiriting, how kind of soul crushing that kind of relationship could be, and the kind of the nature of fame. So yeah, she is. I really enjoyed her essays. They were just so fascinating, and I'm going on and on. I'm doing like little freaking mini reviews of everything here. I have started Better Living Through Criticism: How to Think About Art, Pleasure, Beauty, and Truth by A.O. Scott, 2016 one. He just did a interview with Mark Maron. Mark Maron just wanted to have a chat with him. Mark Maron is a what the fuck WTF podcast, he interviewed A.O. Scott, and they talked a lot about this book, and this book, at least at the beginning here, slightly is being sparked, or at least the kickoff point being used, is that he reviewed A.O. Scott, one of the big movie reviewers for the New York Times, reviewed the Avengers, and he liked it, but he thought it was kind of a witty kind of verbal comedy, mixed with these kind of big soulless kind of set pieces that were designed to make money for the corporate overlords of Marvel and Disney. And Samuel L. Jackson did not like that. And I guess he said, like, he's no good at this. We should find him a better job. Why don't we tell him why don't we find a better job, find A.O. Scott a better job? And there was a resulting firestorm from that. And he said, like, yeah, it happened. You know what? I got a couple hundred more followers. They got more publicity for the movie. The movie went on to make $1 billion. I did not. Even someone like A.O. Scott, who is like, the pinnacle of what a movie reviewer's power could be, didn't affect something like a behemoth like Avengers, but it did get him to thinking. It's like, well, what is criticism? What is a critic? Why, what is art? What is criticism? Why do I, what do I do what I do? Does it have any validity? He obviously does think it does. And Yeah, it's interesting because I think I share with A.O. Scott the idea that uh, being a reader means being a critic, means like you're engaging with the work, you're thinking about the work, you're arguing with the work, you want to talk about the work and tell other people about it, you want to praise stuff, you want to criticize stuff because that's how you experience stuff, and just sort of sitting back and going, it was good, here's my money, nah, that's not where I want to go. So yeah, I'm enjoying that book. So yeah, that's what's up this week. Yeah, since I am really so very, very close to the end of that, probably what I'll do is I'll actually just then go straight in, a little bit harder into the Better Living Through Criticism, which I downloaded as like a novel, a book, ebook on my library app. So I'll probably read through that, and then after that, I'll do some Elmore Leonard, The Moonshine Wars. That was the other thing of my BookTube spin. This was BookTube spin 3, and this is 3.5. The Rick McDonald's lovely randomized. Let's get stuff read off of our bookshelves. Event, which is going well, awesome. I have to have an audiobook though, because I always like having an audiobook going for when I'm doing stuff, especially when I'm biking, because I do a lot of well, I bike straight to work, but then usually I kind of take the long way home to get a little bit of exercise in. And I was like, oh, what audiobook am I going to read? And Sean the Book Maniac and Codex Cantina came to the rescue for that. Sean did a little background video on a book called The Man from Glengarry by Ralph Connor that he and the Codex Cantina, Una and Crypto will be reading, and then they'll be getting together on the Una and Crypto's channel to have a Zoom conversation about. And it's luckily enough, it's also it's a LibriVox, which is a completely free site where they do audio. They have audiobooks out of copyright audiobooks. This was published in 1901. That volunteer readers read, and this one is read all by one person, Bruce Peary, who is an excellent reader. I've listened to his stuff before. Really good sound quality. I do actually, when I put it into my particular reader, I can kind of slightly speed them up because I like things sped up a bit. But that's going to be interesting. The Man from Glengarry is a novel, yeah, published in 1901, and is sort of an autobiographical novel by Ralph Connor, aka. That's his pen name. His actual name was Charles Gordon, the Reverend Charles Gordon, and he. It's about him growing up in a southern Ontario kind of area, Glengarry, because all these Scots come over and they transplant the names to Canada. I'm going to read that. Apparently, the main character, Ranald, Ranald McDonald, obviously pre-Ronald McDonald and McDonald's. When he grows up, he's mature. He moves west to take up a leadership role in the fledgling province of British Columbia, which is where I'm talking to you from. So, I thought, okay, that sounds like an interesting thing. I really like, especially novels from 1901. I have a fondness for, just because that's the year that my grandfather, who Glaswegian, was born. So it's like that is the point in history and time that it's like, oh, I actually knew somebody who was around, who was born in 1901, like, that I'm related to, that I knew. I mean, he passed away in like the 80s, but it's like, oh, here's somebody that I actually personally knew. That's kind of like living memory. So it's always interesting to pick up a book from the time. And apparently, The Man from Glengarry was a big thing in Canada and around the world. On New York Times lists of the time, people in the States and in Britain were reading books by Ralph Connor, someone who is, as far as I know, seems to be completely forgotten today, perhaps for good reasons. We'll find out. We'll find out. But yeah, so I'm gonna listen to the LibriVox version, and then I'll give you my reactions, and I will tune in on at the Codex Cantina and hear what Una and Crypto and Sean have to say about the book. I know from the very beginning, I listened to the dedication, and it's dedicated to the men of Glengarry for their courage and fear, for the courage and fear of God in carving out. How was it carving out? About basically creating the Canadian, the West, the Canadian Empire, which is like empire and the men. So we've got a couple of good themes just right off the bat, where I expect that Sean, who I've done some Canadian history reading with in the past, will have some reactions to all that, because the idea of, well, I mean, in some ways, yeah, Canada. It's empire building, and we were riding right over the indigenous people who lived here at the time, and stealing their land, coercing them off the land, doing all sorts of really, really nasty things, which is what we're trying to come to some kind of we're trying to figure out now, as a nation, as a white settler nation, and our relationship with the indigenous people who are still around and would like us to figure out our shit and kind of make some restitution, which I agree with. All right. Other than that, the next thing that's going to be happening is going to be Shake-Tember. Oh, God, I always want to say Shake Tube, because that's what it was formerly known as. Shake-Tember 2021, where Lukash, Jason, Rainey, and Steve Donahue are going to be doing a full month discussion of some plays of Shakespeare. That is going to be Othello they're going to do Zoom conversations on, I think it's like on the Saturday of each month of September. The first one on Othello, the second Tempest, third Henry IV Part 1, and the final one, The Winter's Tale, on each of their channels. And I will put links down below to all their channels and stuff like that, because I always really enjoy Shake-Tember. Shake-Tember is a little bit more easygoing. I mean, it's always been easygoing. I've always overdone it and tried to read like 3 or 4 plays each week. This time, no, there's just one play each week, so it's super easy. It's just like falling off a log. Come on. But that should be fun. I really enjoy Shake-Tember, and I will definitely participate in that, and then natter about it. All right. And as always, these are always short little check-in videos of 23 or 24 minutes long. I don't think I have anything else to say, so I will leave it there. I hope you're having a good reading week. I hope you have a good reading month. Well, we're almost halfway. We're halfway through this month. I hope you're having hopefully August has been a good reading month for you, and it will continue to be. I'll leave it there. More videos later.